will be sharing insights from our work at Habib Al Mulla and Partners, where we have had the unique vantage point of advising and litigating some of the most complex family business matters in the UAE. My name is Alia Al Mulla. I'm a partner and the head of commercial disputes and family business restructuring at Habib Al Mulla and Partners. Today, I will be sharing insights from our work at Habib Al Mulla and Partners, where we have had the unique vantage point of advising and litigating some of the most complex family business matters in the UAE. Let me start with a simple but critical observation. In the UAE, family businesses are the backbone of the economy, constituting approximately 80% of the private sector and contributing to an estimate of 60% of the country's GDP. Family businesses are not just economic vehicles, they are emotional ecosystems. And that distinction is precisely what drove the UAE to introduce a dedicated legal framework through the Family Companies Law. Historically, UAE Companies Law, particularly under Federal Decree number 32/2021, treated all companies through a uniform commercial lens. But family businesses are fundamentally different. They are built by founders who chose each other, aligned on vision, and consciously entered into a contractual relationship. However, as we have seen repeatedly in practice, the second generation does not choose the partnership. It inherits it. And that is where the friction begins. Over the past decade, we have seen a significant rise in disputes arising during generational transition. At our firm alone, we have been involved in the vast majority of high-profile family disputes brought before the special judicial committees in Dubai. The introduction of Federal Decree number 37 of 2022 was therefore a deliberative legislative response. The rationale behind the Family Companies Law was not merely to regulate, but to preserve continuity, reduce fragmentation, and protect both the business and the family unit. From our practical standpoint, the impact has been substantial. It has legitimized conversations that families previously avoided through governance, succession, and control. It has given families a structured legal pathway to organize themselves before conflict arises. And most importantly, it has shifted the mindset from reactive dispute resolution to proactive institutional design. What the UAE has done particularly well is provide a toolkit, not a rigid framework, because family businesses cannot be forced into a one-size-fits-all module. Instead, the law enables families to move from relationship-driven structures to governance-driven systems while preserving flexibility. In practice, this transformation happens through several key mechanisms. First of all, the law formally recognizes the concept of a family company, allowing families to register under a dedicated regime and benefit from tailored governance structures. Secondly, it enables the adoption and registration of family charters or constitutions with the option to keep them confidential while still giving them legal recognition, bridging the gap between private family arrangements and enforceable governance. Thirdly, it introduces structured governance mechanisms, including defined voting arrangements, differentiated classes of shares, and restrictions on share transfer to non-family members. Importantly, it allows families to ring-fence ownership by restricting disposal of shares and introducing preemption rights, addressing one of the most common sources of fragmentation. It also enables the creation of family dispute resolution committees, allowing disputes to be managed internally before escalating into formal litigation. And perhaps most significantly, it allows generational transition planning, including mechanisms to regulate entry, exit, and management participation, areas that were historically left unstructured. At Habib Al Mulla and Partners, much of our work today is not dispute resolution, but dispute prevention through governance design. We often tell our clients, if the founders were bound by a legal contract, the next generation must be bound by a deliberate governance system, because alignment, once inherited, must be rebuilt by choice. Now, even with the best structures, disputes are inevitable. The question is not whether conflict arises, but how it is managed. The UAE framework introduces a more sophisticated approach to dispute resolution in family businesses. It encourages internal dispute mechanisms before escalation. It supports alternative dispute resolution, including arbitration, mediation, and it recognizes the importance of specialized forums that understand the sensitivities of family dynamics. This is critical because unlike commercial disputes, family business conflicts are not just about rights and liabilities. They're about legacy, identity, and long-standing relationships. In our experience, the most effective dispute frameworks are those that de-escalate conflict early, preserve confidentiality, and allow families to continue operating together post-resolution. This is where the UAE's approach stands out. It is not purely legalistic, it is structural, preventative, and relational. If I were to summarize the UAE's approach in one sentence, it would be this. The law does not seek to control family businesses, it seeks to future-proof them. It provides the architecture for families to move from legacy as inheritance to legacy as a conscious, managed institution. And from our perspective, working at the intersection of disputes and governance, that shift is not just timely, it is essential. Thank you.